Hello and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL, and on your screen, ladies and gentlemen, is some South of Midnight gameplay that I got a chance to record while I was at the Microsoft Experience a couple of weeks ago in downtown Manhattan. I gotta say a big thank you to Compulsion Games and Xbox for inviting Double Barrel Gaming to this event. I got to tell you, it was astounding. It was astonishing to be among some of the bigs that were down there. I mean, like I said, you've heard me talk about it. I got a chance to hang out and talk to and actually meet Greg Miller of Kind of Funny. Of course, got a chance to meet Doodle and C Money in real life, which was awesome. I got to hang out with King David and Lord Cognito, my brothers from another. It was great. Well, folks, you're going to see some gameplay in front of you. I apologize that it looks a little dark in some of the areas. I tried to lighten it up, but unfortunately, this is recorded from on the Xbox Series X. It does look a lot brighter, but the DVR for Xbox is just not that great. But I'm gonna again, once the show is done, I actually had an hour and 15 minutes worth of footage, and unfortunately, because it was recorded at 4K 60, it was taking too much time, so I had to kind of cut it down and just remove some of the filters. I will redo it after the show, and I'll be showing it for the remainder of the week at some point or another. But you're going to see it clear as day. It looks really good. It runs at 60 FPS, which is fantastic on the Series X. We're going to get into this particular conversation momentarily, but we are going to have two topics here. The second one is a very interesting one, and it has a lot to do with the sales of PlayStation exclusives and how they're really not selling as well as, well, some of the people in the community will lead you on to believe. But we have heard from several developers and publishers on why they have to put their games on other platforms, but more specifically, why certain games that weren't available on PC that were PS5 exclusives are now moving towards the PC. And, well, who knows? Maybe at one point or another, they'll move on to Xbox. But as we await Infinite Umbra to get on in here to get his hot take, Jamie Moran, good afternoon, kind sir. How you feeling?
Hey man, happy to be here. Feeling a million times better than I have done for the past 2 months. But gaming stuff, I'm so excited. There's so many games around the corner. Not just Xbox stuff, just in general. It's an exciting time. And yeah, I mean, what can I say? I think like Xbox has a strong year ahead, which we're going to talk about. A ton of variety, cool games coming. I mean, South of Midnight footage is on screen at the minute, and it looks fantastic. Yeah, it's going to be good. Let's talk about it.
Well, you know what? Speaking of which, welcome in Keasante, who's in the chat. He put up a video on his hands-on time with South of Midnight. We should, get over there and check out his video as well. Most of the big content creators that you know and love have videos out there. Mine went live like everyone else at 11 a.m. Got a lot of really nice commentary from the people that saw the video. Again, I want to say it's about maybe 12 and a half minutes. The first 6 or 7 are me kind of speaking over the gameplay. What I decided to do and what I could do was I allowed for the gameplay to go another 7 or 8 minutes longer. So with the sound, so you can hear the music, you can hear the ambiance of the swamp like I did when I was listening to headphones. And I gave you my thoughts and my theories on why you should use headphones while you're playing this game. And obviously, I mean, just look at the screen, folks. This game is gorgeous. I can't wait for you fine folks to get your hands on it. But before we get into the topics, and again, while we await Infinite Number to get in here, I do want to make some, just give you guys and gals the heads up. So Avowed, the review will be live for many of the content creators that we know and love on Thursday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 a.m. West Coast time. What I'm going to do is, instead of doing a traditional video which I find to be a little bit boring, just talking into into the camera or talking into the mic. I'm doing an Ask Me Anything, an AMA on Avowed for Thursday. And Thursday is I'm gonna have two live streams, one of which is going to be at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time when the embargo lifts on Avowed. I will be doing an AMA. I will have full on gameplay that I have recorded and already set up, ready to go. I'll be able to give you all of my personal opinions, my thoughts, my theories. At the end of that event, I'm going to give you my review. I'm just going to give it a heads up. It is going to be one of those reviews that we're going to be doing live on the air, because I think that the interaction with the community is more important than just trying to get a view. So of course, I'm going to, look at you, community, to ask me any question that you want about the game. I am over 40 hours in. I have not beaten it yet. There are still, I believe, 3 areas that I have not gotten to. But then again, that is how I play these games. I just hit level 16, and obviously I can't go into it anymore. But again, tune in on Thursday. There's going to be 2 live streams, one at 9 a.m., which is going to be the AMA for Avowed. And of course, I'm going to review it live on the air. And then at 12 o'clock with C Money, we're going to continue the conversation with Avowed, as well as, of course, South of Midnight. Now, I am kind of wondering, I got to see if C Money can do it. The embargo for conversation, for it will be at 1, but I believe I still will be able to do the show at noon that day. But Jamie Moran, let's actually get into this. Before, again, I do want to kind of just hold out and wait for Umbra to get here before we start talking about what you see on your screen. I do have another topic, and this is the one that I find to be very, very interesting, Jamie. Now, last week, we had Jason Schrier commenting on a Matt Piscatella tweet, which I have in front of me. Now, Matt Piscatella, if you don't know who he is a analyst for the industry. He's a numbers guy. Matt is, I think, one of the finest in the business. He knows what he's talking about. So Matt Piscatella specifically said this, and I want to read it verbatim, Jamie. It says, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth had a fantastic Steam launch across physical and tracked digital. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was the best-selling game of the week ending in January 25th in the U.S. market for sales, while Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth Twin Pack ranked 3rd. And it's the source that he's quoting here is Circana, and it's obviously Circana is a retail tracking service. Now, that was his original tweet. So Jason Schrier, and again, I'm not going to talk about the guy because you folks know how I feel about him. Not the greatest of humans. I'm going to be honest with you, but he's a good reporter. I'll give him credit where credit is due. Well, Jason Schrier, who said this in regards to Matt Piscatella's tweet, he says there are 2 takeaways here. Steam has become a bright spot for many game makers as console sales have flattened. Now, I want this to be clear. Console sales have flattened. That is, of course, not just Xbox. That is Switch, and that is PlayStation 5. His second point says console exclusives will become obsolete soon, especially for third-party publishers. Now, interestingly enough, Jamie, he says console exclusives will become obsolete soon. Now, why I'm driving that point home specifically is because there is a, I don't know, 10 or 15% of the PlayStation Nation that thinks that PlayStation is not nowhere near putting their games on other platforms, whether that be on PC, whether that be on Switch, whether that be even on Xbox. They think that that they are protected from the industry, which is on the verge of imploding. We all know this. Budgets are ballooning. Studios are closing down. Layoffs are happening. But somehow PlayStation is okay. And then all you got to do is look at what's happened to them the last couple of what, 18 months? And all you have to do is look as soon as Concord, $400 million bath over 7 years. That money's gone, right? And we can. I don't want to have to reiterate it, but we could if you don't believe me. Well, another tweet comes the way of Genkai. Now, Genkai underscore JPN is someone in the community that consistently talks about the industry, more specifically about Japan. And here's another story that kind of lends itself to the windows closing for PlayStation and their exclusive content. Shift Up, who is the developer of Stellar Blade, told investors that they expect the PC version of Stellar Blade to perform better than the console version and will add new content for the PC release. This is what they're going to add to it: PC optimization, enhancing user convenience, additional content that is dedicated to PC users, and it's going to be Steam Deck optimized when it releases. This is very interesting because whenever we talk specifically about some of the deals that they made last year, and we try to tell people about they didn't sell well on PlayStation, we are combated with, shenanigans. And one of the things I find almost like a telltale sign is when you don't see these studios touting big sales numbers, or more specifically, even PlayStation. Because the one thing that you have to admit about PlayStation is when they hit, they let everybody know that they hit. And that's who they are, right? That's just what they do. And Rise of the Ronin underperformed. Final Fantasy Rebirth underperformed. Stellar Blade sold 1 million. We never heard more than that. Even their own first party didn't do well in Astrobot. Now, Astrobot is an astonishing game. And I really implore anyone that has a PlayStation 5 that I don't care what era you're from. If you like platformers, that's a game you should buy and support. But the fact that they only sold 1.5 million, I didn't even know if they got to 2 million after winning all these awards. It's a damn shame. But let's get your thoughts on how and again, this is just my opinion, folks. I really believe that the window of exclusivity for PlayStation from third party, from second party, is going to close. Is it shut? No, it is not shut, because obviously there was a state of play that was announced for the 12th, and they in their presser they said that they're going to have a lot of fun and interesting games to show from developers around the world, which says to me that this is not first party. These are all potentially marketed deal or third party deals. Jamie, I want to get your thoughts on this. Do you think that Sony's plans might have accelerated a bit with putting games onto Switch, onto PC, onto Xbox? Or are we making this up as we go?
I think they might be making up as they go. The industry's in a weird place at the minute because, you have companies like Square Enix, third party companies, that are realizing like they are getting nothing, absolutely nothing, out of not putting their games on multiple platforms. They already have Xbox and Nintendo listed in their multi-platform strategy going forward. So if anyone's looking forward to, like, I don't know, Final Fantasy 17 and you're on Xbox, you don't have to worry. But when it comes to PlayStation, like, they had Concord, the biggest flop of all time. I'm not even joking. Like, that is literally worse than ET, which basically crashed video games in the US. Like, there's an actual landfill and a documentary about that landfill filled with ET cartridges. And this did worse. So the industry's in a weird place because video game budgets are bloating beyond belief. And you have the core console user base isn't growing, right? It's stuck at around 200 million consoles sold, 200 million users. And you have the only new gamers you have coming to the market are mainly people that are playing these black hole games. The people that only play Fortnite or Warzone or Apex, PUBG or whatever. Basically, whatever free-to-play game they can play on whatever device they have access to. The core console user base is not growing. Now, that should be very scary for a lot of people because, like, the games we want, everyone listening right now, we want to play these, single player core games or multiplayer core games that come out dozens of times a year. But if that audience isn't getting any bigger, then who the hell is Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo? Well, Nintendo's in their own little magical cloud. Let's leave them alone for a second. But like Microsoft and Sony's audiences aren't really getting bigger than they ever have been, right? The PS3 and Xbox 360 were both at like 90 million consoles sold. Everyone was happy. But like consoles aren't really getting any more popular than they used to in the past. So I think, Microsoft and Sony, they realize, like, look, these games cost a lot of money, even if it's a smaller budget game they're making. Like, why not put it on other devices? And I get it. It's weird. It is a weird concept of having platform exclusive games or games made by other platforms on different consoles. It's a weird concept, but times are changing.
Yep.
I mean, hell, when you have people from Take-Two talking about how games should be $100, and you have Microsoft and Sony looking at other platforms, I think the writing's on the wall. Like these games just cost too much. And I've said it before, and I think I said it in last week's episode. If Sony and Microsoft were selling Mario Kart style numbers or Nintendo style numbers on their platforms, I don't think any of this would be a topic. I think Microsoft would never put their games on other platforms outside of PC, and Sony wouldn't put their games on other consoles. But that isn't the reality of it. Like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has sold, I think, like 68 million consoles. Sorry, 68 million copies. Like Microsoft and Sony have never had anything close to that. They could dream about it. So like times are changing, and it's scary for some people. But as we've seen over the past year, you just kind of have to get on with it. There's nothing we can do about it. People can whine on Twitter about it, but the truth is, people just mute you or block you. Like as we've seen Sony transition from years ago to only console exclusives, at a time where Microsoft slowly start putting more games on PC, people like PlayStation will never put games on PC, never.
Yeah.
And then it happened with one of their games where it was 3 years after it came to console. And then people were like, okay, it'll never be shorter than 3 years. And then it was 2 years, and then 1 year. And now you have games such as Lego Horizon Adventures that go to PC and Switch the exact same day as the PlayStation release. So it's getting kind of obvious to me, at least, that things are changing. Like they have new leadership, kind of, at Sony. They want money. They want return on investment fast, especially after the whole Concord situation.
Yep.
Like something's going to have to change. Now, do I think things like The Last of Us or Days Gone are going to get like Xbox ports like now? No, but who's to say that maybe 2 years or whatever from now, maybe you have Spider-Man from 2018 or 2017 come to Xbox and Switch too. Like, why not? Those games aren't selling hardware anymore. Not many people are buying a PlayStation 5 in 2025 to buy a Spider-Man game that came out 7 years ago. These are just files they have sitting on a server somewhere. Why not? And like I think what Microsoft's doing at the minute, I mean, it could be risky. We don't know. Like, we don't know if their big like Gears of War E-Day is going to be the same day on other platforms. We don't know this, about their major new titles. All we do know is that Xbox is wanting to make that money back quick because the whole Activision thing. At least that's what it looks like. But like I said, times are changing, and. When you have Square Enix, who's been the most reluctant to put games on Xbox for a long time, times are changing. But I think in the long run, like if you're a platform fan and you like that community and you like the services and features of that console, like Phil Spencer said, they want to differentiate the box. I've talked about this millions of times. I'm not just a fan of Xbox because of the games. I'm a fan of Xbox because I love the features. I love backwards compatibility, achievements. Hell, the controller I find comfortable. Things like quick resume and stuff. And I think if these console manufacturers, they're gonna have to differentiate themselves for things that aren't just video games, because otherwise you might as well just play on PC, where you're gonna have the best graphics, the highest frame rate, and all the fancy mods and stuff. But I think consoles in the past have always been the cheapest way into playing video games. Well, I think going forward, consoles are just going to have to be. They're going to have to lower the price, and they're going to have to make some interesting uh, feature capabilities of these consoles. Otherwise, why shouldn't everyone listen right now not move to PC where you're going to play everything?
Indeed, indeed. Hey, well, Umbra, welcome back, sir. How you feeling? Good afternoon, or what's still actually good morning for you. It's 11:23 over in Chi-Town. How you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling all right. Good afternoon to you guys out there where you at, and to the chat. Um, yeah. Did you guys already cover what topic are you guys
Well,
on
we
right now?
we actually waited for you to get into South of Midnight, which you see on your screen. This is my gameplay from the Microsoft experience. It was captured in 4K 60 on Elgato, and they gave me the footage to take home. Which, of course, here it is, ladies and gentlemen. It's about 30 minutes. I would love to have it running for an hour, but once we get into talking, I'll just reloop the footage if you got in here late. Umbra, what we are talking about specifically is a couple of key points. Now, we had actually talked about this last week, and we never got a chance to actually talk about it. And that was the two tweets here. I'll reread it so Umbra could be brought into the conversation. So Matt Piscatella last week talked about, or two actually a week and some change ago, said Final Fantasy VII Rebirth had a fantastic Steam launch, which is true. Across physical and track digital, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was the best-selling game of the week ending in January 25th in the U.S. market. That's for sales. That's for dollar sales. While the Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth Twin Pack ranked third, and this source that he quotes here is from Circana, which is a retail tracking service. Now, why that's important is because Jason Schrier actually quote tweeted Matt, and Jason Schrier said something that's very interesting, and this I think really does damage a lot of the wall building that PlayStation gamers have been doing over the course of the last 2 years. That Xbox is dead because they're putting games everywhere, and PlayStation would never do this. Right now, PlayStation is never going to put games anywhere else. Well, Jason Schrier, and again, interestingly enough, normally he's the guy that everyone goes to. Some of the thing, and again, I don't like him. That everyone knows it. I make no qualms about it, but I do give the guy credit where credit is due. All of a sudden now, because he says what I'm about to read, he's a pony bot or an Xbot, and he's defending Xbox. He's not. He's being, I think, looking at the industry and what's actually happening. So he says he says this. I have two takeaways here. Steam has become a bright spot for many game makers as console sales have flattened. And I do want to stress console sales. He didn't say Xbox. We know Xbox numbers are terrible. No one's denying that. But he says console sales, which is across the board. Xbox, PlayStation, Switch. They flattened. It's a fact. Second point, he says console exclusives will become obsolete soon, especially for third-party publishers. Now, again, he's not saying that Xbox exclusives are going to be obsolete soon. We know that they already are. He says console exclusives. And of course, I'm not suggesting, and I agree with Jamie, you're never going to see The Last of Us on an Xbox. You're just not. Spider-Man 2018 is something I've been banging the drum. I think it would be great to have that game launch on Xbox. You know why? It'd make a lot of money for Sony, and it'd make a lot of money for Marvel. And I'm not saying that there's going to be a day where Spider-Man 3 is going to be day and date. That's that like MLB The Show situation. But Marvel, I think, is getting a bit impatient with what Jamie said. Spider-Man 2018 is literally sitting on a virtual shelf somewhere making no money. And Insomniac, they know how to program and make games for Xbox. It seems like a no-brainer to put that game on there, even just for a test. Hey, they don't got to put all three. We're just going to put this one. They put it for 50. They could probably even charge $70 with all the outfits that the DLC over the years, and we'd buy it. I would buy it again. I've platinumed it. I own it. I own it twice. I own both versions, and I would gladly buy it again and play through it. Spider-Man is great. Insomniac is an amazing developer. They'd get my money, but this is where the conversation gets a bit more interesting. Now, Shift Up, as you know, Umbra, made the game Stellar Blade. Now, Stellar Blade, from many accounts, was a fantastic game. The problem with the Stellar Blade is not a lot of PlayStation gamers bought it. Very much similar to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, very similar to Rise of the Ronin, very similar to their own first party in Astrobot, which I don't understand how it didn't sell. It's just crazy to me. The game's amazing. Well, according to Genkai, which is, of course, a community member that talks a lot about Japan, it's Genkai_JPN. He says Shift Up told investors recently that they expect the the PC version of Stellar Blade to perform better than the console version and will add new content for the PC release. This is what's going to happen with this game: PC optimization, enhanced user convenience, additional content that is going to be potentially exclusive to PC, and at launch it's going to be Steam Deck optimized, which is great for anyone that plays on Steam Deck. This kind of leads to the conversation that the days of Sony's exclusivity, I think, are shrinking. I think day and date to PC is almost guaranteed this year. I think it, and if it doesn't start with Kojima's game, which I believe it is, I think it's going to be Ghost of Yotai for sure. It just makes too much dollars and cents not to do day and date. But I really think the window for third-party exclusive content that's not like from their China project that they're working on is closing. I want to get your thoughts on that. Oh, there he is. Infinite Number, are you there, kind sir? Uh-oh, he's having issues. There he is. He's muted. Umbra, you know what? Why don't you pop out and then pop back in, because it says something about I don't know if it's something about Elgato, so it's giving you a bit of a hard time. Yeah, just jump out and jump back in, and we will get your hot take on what we were just talking about. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we await Umbra to get back in here, want to thank you so much for not only hanging out with us here today. We've got 523 people watching live, and let's break that down and where that's coming from. We have 220 on X, which is awesome. Welcome everybody on Twitter. 303 people watching on YouTube, and no people watching on Twitch. That doesn't surprise me at all, because Twitch, we're not big on Twitch. I don't know, is anybody's podcast really big on Twitch? I'm not exactly sure, but again, we certainly appreciate all of the viewage that we get, and hopefully you are in fact enjoying the gameplay in front of you for South to Midnight. We're going to get to that topic momentarily. Let's see. So Jamie, listen, let's start talking about the state of play that was announced, and of course we will roll it back. The state of play was announced earlier this morning. It has been confirmed for tomorrow, which of course is Wednesday, February 12th, and I have the presser in front of me. This comes the way of Tim Turry. He is the content communications manager at Sony Interactive Entertainment. He says state of play is back tomorrow, February 12th. Tune in live for news and updates on great games coming to PlayStation 5. The show celebrates a creative and unique selection of exciting games from studios around the world. It is the 40-minute plus show begins at 2 p.m. Pacific. 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Well, that's it. Okay, wait, let's get in for number. Umber, are you here, sir?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, sir.
Okay.
So we'll come back around to the state of play announcement. I do want to get your thoughts on how things are shifting for PlayStation and putting their games in other places. Because again, I think that there's a large portion that believes that PlayStation is somehow immune to the industry and and how rapidly it's changing. I think simply that is why you saw so much movement in management. I think a lot of the old guard might have had this stay in our box mentality, and I think they are moving away from that. What's your thoughts on some of the information I just provided?
Yeah, no, I agree with you that they're definitely going to shift in some ways toward the same strategy Xbox is using. The thing is that I think, with the sales they're having as far as hardware and their traditional model, they still it's going to be a tough transition for them to kind of switch to what Microsoft is doing right now.
Yep.
So I think they're going to do it on a, I hate to say the word, to borrow from Phil, but a case by case basis. And I think certain games, you know, like Death Stranding, like you said, part two, might be the start of that. Now that's not even their game anymore because we know they sold the IP back to Kojima or whatever. So that's not a loss really for them if they do that. That makes sense for it to go day and date with PC as well.
Yep.
So I can see that for sure. For as far as Ghost of Yote and things like that, because they're still on this traditional style of release, I don't think that would be the one. If I had to bet on any first party specific game that would go day and date, I would like lean more toward Wolverine or something like that. You know what I mean? And even then, I feel like that could be a bit of a stretch, but I would say that more than anything because it'll have time behind it for them to shift strategies because it seems to be that Totoki wants to go the route as well as Satya did, right? Just going by what the wording of what he said and how he was phrasing things, he seems to understand that there needs to be a multi-plat strategy as well, just for more money for them. They don't have a market yet for outside of Helldivers 2 as far as any live service type game. So they need something there. And so that's why they're going to still try to do something that still tackles a multi-platform approach. So I feel like certain titles they will do that with just to test it out and see. To me, I could see Death Stranding 2 being the start of that. There's no real skin off their bones or whatever if they go that route because again they don't own that. They just have a little exclusivity on consoles with with their deal. So that makes the most sense to me immediately. Wolverine would be the first, I would say, just because of how much we know that Disney is charging. Thanks to that leak, essentially we have a good idea of what is expected to sail through for that IP to bring them and Disney both money. So as far as copies sold, that would be the reason why I would think Wolverine would have to be it because Disney expects a certain amount back. And seeing how unfortunate like the sales have been for first party titles, you go on to your point with Astrobot probably only now just covering 2 million and some odd of sales.
Yep.
And other titles with an install base of 70 million sales, you would think that would be crazy. Like you would think it would be Nintendo like numbers for first party. But seeing how that's going in that direction, that's probably why I would say Wolverine will make the most sense to go that way to start off if I had to go for first party itself.
Well, I mean, that would be a shocker. I mean, Wolverine, I don't think that's not happening this year. Unfortunately, the leak kind of really gummed up what they were going to do with it. The source code is out there, and that is very unfortunate. They're going to have to get in there and rewrite a lot of that code because you can't release the game that was leaked. People are playing Wolverine now, and it's unfinished, folks. I know a lot of people try to think, oh, the game looks terrible. Folks, that is alpha footage at best. Look, it's Wolverine. I'm buying it day one. I don't care where it's available. I'm not going to play on PC if it's day one there. I'm going to get it on the PlayStation, whatever, and enjoy the heck out of it. That's, it's Wolverine. What's not to enjoy? But I do think that you're going to see some different strategies. And I think that they are in a position where they do have a bunch of older games that could sell well on Switch, that could sell well on that are not on PC. Bring them there, or of course even Xbox. Like I'm very surprised that there hasn't been any rumor or talk because we originally had heard, and there were a lot of people that ran with this story that Helldivers 2 was going to be the next big one, and it makes sense, right? It's a gas game. A lot of Xbox players, including me, I already bought it on PlayStation 5. I would gladly rebuy that game. That's not a problem because I'd rather play it on Xbox with the controller that I know and love rather than the DualSense.
I agree, and I think it would just do well on
It
Xbox.
yeah,
Yeah,
it would, yeah.
I think it
But
would do really well. I mean, they don't have a real draconian kind of style for MTX, but I think they could, in that instance, really up the ante as far as what you can get, as far as what your soldier can wear with, if they infused it with Halo, for instance. We keep talking about that all the time.
yep.
I mean, imagine having like Master Chief-esque designs, or shot hell jumpers.
Spartan designs at the least.
Yeah, or hell
Yeah.
jumpers themselves that you can have, as far as the helmets and stuff. So that's on the weaponry. So many different ways they can go with it. I think that would have made the smartest and wisest choice. I don't know why they haven't done that. To me, I think that they don't lose out in that one. So I don't know, but as far as going to the thought of, like you said, thinking of the Switch, though, I could see Ratchet and Clank, stuff like that, being something that they could bring over there that I think would do well for them.
I absolutely agree. I think they would eat that up, and I think Ratchet and Clank could easily run on both an Xbox and the Nintendo Switch too. Like it really could. And that's another game that a lot of people didn't buy, shamefully, because that game is stunning. Just another amazing experience from Insomniac. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, we got almost 550 people here. I want to welcome everyone here that's tuning in for us to talk about South to Midnight, and that's where we're going to go next. Obviously, we're not going to get into much the state of play. It's happening tomorrow. We'll see what they show. It doesn't appear that Sony's going to be showing anything first party. At least that's based on the presser. It seems to be that it's going to be from games around the world. So it's going to be third party deals. You might see a game or two from their China project, which is going to be a big deal for Sony regarding locking up exclusive content. That's just what they do. But ladies and gentlemen, let's get into South of Midnight. Now, obviously, this is the footage. It's being I looped it, and I'm very interested to get the panel's thoughts and theories on what you've seen so far. Any questions that you guys and gals have for me, I'm pretty much could answer everything. And I know one of the things that I want to just get right out there, this is running on an Xbox Series X at 60 FPS. That is confirmed. This was recorded on the Series X. It played fantastic. Again, another question that I'll jump in front of before anyone asks. This was confirmed to me personally by the art director, and of course the presentation that she had with us, which I'm going to actually put out. I have a couple of exclusive content. Clyde Henry Productions is the movie house that made the opening cinematic. You could watch it on YouTube. You can watch it pretty much anywhere. It's about a minute and 24 seconds, I think. And during my time at the event, they had all the actual props, because this is stop motion, and that's what they do. They are an award-winning studio out of Canada. And I got a chance to sit in for a presentation, not only with the art director from Compulsion Games, who explains all of their thoughts and their theories and how they came into deciding to do a game based on the Deep South. I have that recorded. That's voice only, no video, but I will have gameplay running in the background. And I also have a presentation from Clyde Henry Productions, that studio that made it, the opening cinematic, which is stop motion. I have that also, so I'm going to be putting that together and dropping that throughout the week. I kind of wanted to let everyone get out of the way with their previews, because a lot of us, with their, Colt did a preview, Paris did a preview. There's tons of people, even Kay Asante, who's in the chat, did one. And of course, I would like for you to go and check out their stuff, because it's a lot of work to get put into this stuff. Boom. And we appreciate it.
Would it be Whitney?
Yes.
Yes. Whitney Clayton. Is it?
Yes. She is the art director. I got a chance to talk with her. Lovely woman. Very, very passionate about her time with the studio. And again, if there's one thing that I can say with full authority, if you look at the games that they've done over the years, the one thing that jumps off the page with all of their games is the artistic style. each game is different in its own way. And like I said, there is, and let me just jump in front of this because I know someone might have already asked. The stutter stop motion animation that you see that's very similar to Coraline can in fact be shut off. They would prefer that you played the game with it on, of course, because that's what the game is. That's the story they're trying to tell you. As you can see, I died a couple times. I fell off the edge over here, which sucked. But you can shut off the stop motion animation where it's just the graphics. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have any recorded gameplay with it off because I really enjoyed playing, with that stop motion, that stutter that you see. I really think it lends itself to the story that's being told, especially how fantastical the world is. I mean, the world is just stunning to look at. But you can, in fact, shut it off. I've seen it. It looks really, really good. And I will have both versions of running in the background when I do my video review, because I'm going to be reviewing this for the channel. But Jamie, I'll go to you first because obviously you got a chance to check out the footage. Any specific questions or just what are your thoughts on what you've seen so far?
I mean, the thing that I take away from it the most is the exploration looks good. I think when it comes to a
Yes.
game like this, platforming is like one of the most important things. So, like, I was wondering, what's the platforming like, especially when it comes to like the whole floating ability from island to island?
So what you folks are seeing in front of you is we started on level 3. I've played through. I got to level 4. That's where the demo ends. So this is I said level 3. Chapter 3 in the game is where we started. Chapter 4 is where it ends. The platforming here is what you've already seen. There are a lot of and again, you're going to see. You're not going to see it here because I don't have it here. I have it recorded. I just didn't have the time to get it into the in today's show. You'll see it throughout the week. There is multiple climbing sections where you're doing, you're doing some edge work and you're climbing to really, really high places. The platforming is phenomenal. It is. I didn't have any issues with the platforming at all. You're going to see that this particular section gives you the double jump and gives you the parachute ability that you can glide to further distances from high up. And sometimes, as you saw, there are like certain secrets that you can completely miss, where that white glowing currency that you saw that she collects, that you saw, like it'd be like a 10 plus or 15 plus, that's the currency that you use to level up the character, because it is an action adventure game, but it also has a very light RPG element to it where you do have certain powers that I mean, again, you can choose to level up the character as much as you can. I, like Umbra, look for every nook and cranny. And that's what I did in the demo. As a matter of fact, even like the devs that were watching me play, they're like, "Well, you don't miss anything." I'm like, "No, I want to experience it all." Um, I hope that answered your question, Jamie.
Yeah, spot on.
Anything else? I mean, like, what are your thoughts on the stop motion animation? Because I think it's brilliant. That's just me. I don't think there are many games that do what South of Midnight is doing, and I'd like to see more like it. Again, this is an Xbox exclusive for now. How long it stays here, I don't know, but this is a game, I'm telling you, folks, is something special. It really is just something special, and the work that they've done here. If you look at where they came from. And obviously they had their first game launching on Series X. I believe. Why can't I think of the name of it? Something starts with a C. I'll get it. I have it in my notes. In 2013, obviously, right from there, they went over to We Happy Few. That released. That was actually a crowdfunded game. I actually joined the Kickstarter for that, and it officially launched in 2018. I got to tell you, from We Happy Few, Jamie, to this is a step up. But I'll tell you what this is ultimately: money. When they got purchased by Microsoft in 2018, we've heard this many times before that it was what they were working on. This game is why they decided to purchase them, and what we're seeing in front of us is just brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Psychonauts 2, for instance, that wasn't going to have boss battles until Microsoft purchased Double Fine. So,
Yep.
like, the money clearly helps. Honestly, the stop motion thing, I like it. I mean, I grew up with Wallace and Gromit, so like, I'm used to it. And I actually love the art style because I feel like, as much as I love these like Unreal Engine 5 super realistic looking games like Hellblade and other games, really cool fancy tech. I really miss the days where developers would go out of the way to make very interesting art styles. And
Yes.
that's one of the reasons why I like the look of this game, because it kind of has the same art style as the Spider-Verse movies.
Yes, it does.
It's like
Yep.
a very like 3D but 2D cell shaded look, and I really like the look of it. Honestly, like the cell shading or whatever they call it, and the stop motion stuff, I'm perfectly fine with it. I just wish more games did some, I don't want to say efforts in using some artistic choices, but honestly, I love the look of the game.
Yeah, again, again, if you missed out on the video that I put up, it's not very long. It's about 12 minutes. The last 6 or 7 minutes are actual gameplay where you get a chance to hear. I was allowed to let the music play so you can hear the ambiance of the swamp. You can hear the crickets, you can hear the birds chirping, you can hear how Hazel talks to herself a bit while she's learning these new powers that she has. It's very, very interesting the way that they did it. Not in a creepy way, talking to yourself like you're rocking in a corner, but like a bit of a self-discovery talking to yourself. Because again, the whole synopsis for this, where we are, she's trying to find her mom. And basically, what happened was her mom is a weaver as well, and Hazel never had her powers, knew about her powers until there was this massive storm that knocked their home into the river, and the mom was stuck in there. She couldn't get out, and now she's on the hunt to find and help her mom. And that's when her powers manifest into what you're seeing in front of you. Again, it's go check out the video. I don't expect to get a lot of views on it, but I think I did. I've answered all the questions because I thought, like you, like I asked the questions that I want to know, and I hope that you enjoy it. But Infinite Umbra, let's talk about South of Midnight, because just based on what you've seen so far, I think it's safe to say that they have something special here. I don't know how many people know about the Deep South, but I think that what I've learned so far is very interesting. Some of the stuff that we were told about during, the presentation was just mesmerizing on why and how they settled in on this particular lore. What are your thoughts on what you've seen so far?
Dirty South. Uh-huh. Can you? I'm sorry. Can you? Question on the timing, I guess, because reading up on it is saying that it's about a 12-hour adventure total.
They said 14 hours is what
14 hours.
what they said during the presentation. Yeah,
which
14 hours.
isn't bad, for a game like this, right? I don't think that's too bad. But like you, definitely that time is going to probably be like 20 some odd hours, maybe more for me. The exploration wise, did they have anything as far as puzzles, or should I say like collectibles, that you notice, things of that nature that would require us to like look around anymore? Or was it more straightforward and kind of linear?
Well, look, the game is linear. It does have a path that it wants you to go on, right? There is a start, there is a middle, and there is a ending. There is so the combat that you see is arena based. And basically what happens during the combat sections is you'll come into an area that you'll see is like corroded, and it has like vines with spikes, and it's basically the swamp in that area is has these creatures that you have to fight, and you have to cleanse the area. So when you get into it, you're surrounded. Basically, you're stuck in that arena until you beat these creatures. Now, that's not the same thing about the boss. The boss battles are entirely different, and they are big. Obviously, Two-Toe Tom, which is the big alligator. If you've seen the boss battle, they've tweeted about it several times. He's massive. And we didn't see him in the demo that I played. I don't know where he shows up, if he's in the first 2 levels or he's not, because we didn't see that.
So you didn't get a chance to fight him then?
No, we did not. We literally started on chapter 3, and when we got to chapter 4, after finishing off 3, the demo ended.
Got you. Okay.
Are there collectibles? Yes. One of the things I said in the video is that the one thing, at least for me, is like Umbra, I like to explore. I don't streamline any game, regardless of if its size, whether it be a 100-hour RPG or a 14-hour game like this. That is not how I play. I want to be enveloped in the story. This particular story has me so tantalized. I'm going to be honest with you that I'm looking everywhere, and the more you look, the more you'll find books. The more you'll find different pieces of paper that explain the particular story beat that you are currently in. You get to learn more about the world and more about, like, for instance, this particular part. I'm not going to spoil anything. There are no spoilers here, folks. Are about 2 brothers and what happens to them and what happens to one of them more specifically. And again, you can streamline it and you're going to get the story. But if you are someone that appreciates the minutia, the actual, like the real nitty gritty, of a story, if you're there for the story, the more that you invest into searching the area and finding these pieces of paper, these books that you could read, is the more you're going to be able to level up your character. Because obviously, if you go searching off the beaten path, you're going to find different areas that you can platform to, and
Nice.
some are going to be where all of your skills are going to be necessary to get to the end game of that secret area. If that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds dope. Jamie, did you have another question or for him?
Yeah, I'm good.
I was just going to ask, as far as the abilities, just going off of that, piggybacking off of that, how many abilities do you seem to get? I'm looking at the screen and it looks to be 3 that I can see under your energy or whatever, your health.
Right. Well, there are 3 that you get that are like grabs. There's obviously the double jump, which is one of them. There's also the floating ability where you get like that, looks like a parachute that you kind of just glide
right there. We just did.
But there are multiple combat abilities that you can get. Now, granted, it's not a RPG of a Bethesda type. It has its limitations, but again, by the way that they explained it is, if you just play the game, by the end you can have all the abilities. But if you search for, you see what I'm doing here where I'm looking for, you could have all of the abilities, and as you progress, the ability skill tree grows with you. So if you like, we're on chapter 3, you saw me level up one of the abilities. That's all you have right now. That will expand as you progress through the game.
Okay.
See, look, as you can see in front of you, there's multiple levels to strand pull, to strand push, and to weave, right? There's also other abilities that you can get. Again, folks,
within those types of abilities. Within those types of abilities, you can do different things with it. Like I just saw said, what was it, thread pull? Okay.
Yeah. The more you go and you look and you find things, the more powerful you're going to get. Again, this is running at 60 FPS, as you can see. And like, I don't know if you heard me before, you can in fact shut off the stutter. So if you don't like the stop motion animation, you can make it more look like a PlayStation game, if that makes any sense. Like if you want that style of graphic that looks more like a PlayStation game. They offer that to you. They came right out and said they prefer that you play the game how they intended to, the art style to help tell the story, but they give you the option to shut that off if it's bothersome towards you.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. No, that sounds really good to me. Jamie, did you have another question for him?
Well, I'm gonna.
Yeah, I think I'm good for questions. I've already seen and heard a lot about this game.
So. Okay. I'm trying to pace myself on the questions. Let me think. What's another one I can think of that you could answer? Because how much time did you get on it, Boom? That you would say?
I
played
through the demo twice. I've sunk in over 2 hours. The demo was about an hour and 20, give or take. Me a little bit longer. It was closer to 2 hours because, as you can see, I like to look for everything. I do have the same demo that I played on my console. They did send me the actual demo through the Insider program, which is now I'm a part of through Xbox, which is dope. I don't get codes anymore. They literally just I'll get like an email from Jeff Rubenstein say, "Hey, Boom, check your console. We just sent you this game, and here's the review embargo info," which is dope. And it's on there, and I did start it and start recording some footage there. So I played it for about just about 2 hours at the Microsoft experience, and I started playing through it a second time.
Okay, yeah, it sounds good, man. So let me ask, because one of the obvious things that you could see, and I'm looking at the gameplay, and it's been said before we even got a chance to get hands on, is clearing out the blight, so to speak.
Yes,
it definitely gives a Kena Bridge of Spirits feel, right? Have you played Kena Bridge of Spirits?
Yes, Kena's gorgeous game, brother. That's fantastic.
It is gorgeous. I believe it's Unreal, by the way. That's one. So, with that being the case, did this feel very Kena-ish?
Yeah, Thriller Ali actually literally just said the same thing. He says that where is it, Thriller? He says, Mr. Boomstick, this game reminds me of Kena Bridge of Spirits, and you're absolutely correct. It does. It's not 1-to-1 for sure, but it definitely has similarities. Yeah.
Oh, I see. I see Thriller. Yeah, you literally just said it. Okay. Shout out to the chat. They are talking about the state of play. I'm not going to derail us for now, but yeah.
Well, we'll get to it. We're gonna get to it. Yeah, we're gonna get.
But one other question I guess I would ask is one of the things I'm big on is the voice acting. And when we saw like Paris, for instance, talk with some of the cast some time back, I was really interested in seeing how they were going to approach the characters. So I'm interested in how Hazel and the catfish, and even her mother, like how well does that sound? Do they sound rather from what you've heard? And I mean, does it sound like really solid or exemplary, or does it just sound like well, like you what you would expect, or does it seem to kind of excel in a department for you from what you've heard?
The one thing that I said during my video that is, at least in my opinion, a must is very similar to the way Hellblade uses audio beats to enhance the story that they're telling. I would suggest highly that if you are going to play this game, you should use headphones for a multitude of reasons. The soundtrack is astounding. And as you are playing, like I said, how I explained it in the video, there are multiple times where you hear like a banjo being played. You hear the forest. You hear the chirping of the crickets. You hear the birds. You'll hear the growl if you're close to something that is like one of the areas I just cleared out. The voice acting is phenomenal. It feels authentic. It does not feel like it's rushed. The actress that in fact that's playing Hazel, when she gets emotional, and you'll see it. Again, folks, I don't want to ruin anything. And again, this is a very, very small part of the game. The game is 14 plus hours in length. There's a lot to get into. We didn't get a chance to get to any of the bosses, and there are a ton of them, and they are massive boss fights. But what I have experienced with the sound specifically and the voice acting is that this is not something that you feel like they just phoned it in. Like everyone that is speaking has an authentic Southern drawl to their accent.
Nice.
Now, whether or not these are actually uh, actors from the South, and I believe they said during the presentation that some of the voice acting was in fact people from that regions of Louisiana,
Mm,
of Mississippi. They did pull from that area because those are considered the deep South, and they wanted authenticity to be at the forefront of their design, especially during the audio. And like I said, folks, I'm not blowing smoke up anyone's you know what. I only got a chance to play for 2 hours. I got to run through chapter 3 twice, and I'm here to tell you that this game is as authentic as you could possibly want. Nothing that I played was phoned in, and especially when it comes to the lore, they took this super serious. And everything that you see in front of you is literally taken directly from the law of the South, and I think that is brilliant.
now, two questions more. One, uh, speaking of authenticity to the area, being Louisiana, being you got the Southern folklore with the haints that you're battling and all these things. Now, going to the dialect and accents, does at any point does the catfish or anybody say Justin Wilson's the Cajun chef's famous "I guarantee"?
I have not heard that, sir. So I can't say that that's not in there. But in my 2 hour experience, I did not hear.
Okay, that's important. I just need to hear somebody like, "I guarantee." That's all I need to hear. But now I'll ask one. It's hard to give a gauge on it, but I think we typically understand how good games can be, even with a few hours into it, right? We can kind of say, well, I think it might land here. Where would you say, Metacritic wise? And I know this might not mean anything to anybody in the chat. I would like to get an idea for this because it's one of the questions I ask people who are playing this or will play Avowed. I asked them, I said, where do you think it'll land? Metacritic and OpenCritic score wise, what do you think?
It's tough because what I experienced was brilliance. It is an action adventure game. It is look, the best way I can say is the way I can attack this particular question is, will the gaming media judge the game for what it is? I honestly don't know. If I'm reviewing this game, it's hard to say, what the end game is going to be. I only played, again, 2 hours of the game. It would be really hard to like slap a score like, okay, chapter 3 is a 9 out of 10. But the one thing that I can say is I'm interested to see how the gaming media is going to review the game for the game itself. The game is unlike anything that is currently available. It is telling an original story with an original group of characters that have a tremendous backstory that you want to learn. And that's the one thing I can say that I pulled from this is the further I played the game, the more books I found, the more pages out of books that I found that told me about the lore and about the characters. I wanted to continue to look around the corner to learn more about the where we are in the Deep South. I wanted to learn of Hazel's history. What's because again, if you just watch some of the trailers, there's a bit of a beef between her and her mom. I don't know what that beef is because we didn't get into it and they didn't explain it during the presentation. Now, I'm not sure as if the mom is putting pressure on her to be this weaver because I don't think she knew she had these powers. At least that is how it's been expressed. These powers manifest after her mom is washed down the river and she's now panicking to try and find her. That's where these powers come from. Going all the way back around. Sorry for being long-winded, Umbra, about the score. I think that this is going to score very well for a multitude of reasons. First of all, I don't think every game needs to be 100 hours. I think some of the highest score games that we've seen in past history have been in that sweet spot, 12, 14, 15 hours. I don't think that this is a game that these knucklehead journalists are going to have a hard time beating. I'm not saying that the game is easy, because you saw me die a couple of times. You've seen me get my rear handed to me. The game requires you to learn the moves, and you have to use the combos. And if you don't, you just, if you're going to button mash, it's not going to be a great experience. We all know that a lot of these games journalists aren't really gamers. A lot of them get into the business because it's easy. And we've seen that more times than not. So maybe someone will review it and be like, I don't like it because it's a girl, or because it's the South.
She's icky.
Yeah.
She's got cooties.
It might be something stupid like that. It actually might. I hope not. I hope that if whoever does get a chance to review this, reviews the game for exactly what it is. It is telling a unique story in a very unique way in its presentation. And like I said, standouts, besides the graphics, are the audio cues. The attention to detail with the audio is astoundingly good. They really took this to task. And you can, like I said, I can't really play it because we're talking, but I'll slap it on for a second. I mean, you'll hear she'll talk to herself. Like I said, I think that's not because she's a nut. It's because this is by herself.
Right? Well, as long as she doesn't start talking like old girl from Forspoken, I'm okay.
No. She's gonna be all right. It doesn't talk, but and again, just folks, listen to the audio cues. It's the birds and the crickets in the background, and it's just, it has a real calming way of telling this story. I actually think it's going to, and I hate using the word surprising, because that's something that kind of is a bit frustrating, ladies and gentlemen, is why are we surprised when Xbox puts out a game that scored good? Why is that? Now, is that Xbox's fault? I guess maybe to some extent, because you got to remember, when they had 5 studios, they can only put out so much, and they were depending on third-party partners to actually put games out, like Recore, for instance, that didn't score well, which is a great game. It wasn't finished like it should have been. I just think that this game is going to score good, and I think that it is going to, by the end of the year, win some awards for its presentation in its audio and its visuals.
So 2 final questions, Boom.
Yes.
One is from Thriller Ali. He says, yes, he said, ask Boom, do they say, laissez le bon temps rouler? Do they ever say, laissez le bon temps rouler?
So
he's
the
from
thing.
Louisiana.
First of all, welcome, Thriller Ali. I know that if he's from that area, he's probably appreciating it. The catfish does sound like that. Has he said that? I'm not actually sure.
So it's a good chance he might say
he might. Yeah,
okay.
he could have, and it just missed on me. But he does sound just like that. Like, he is so, the Southern drawl for the catfish is so like authentic. He might have said both those things, and I just missed out on it because I don't actually know what those mean. But
he like, come on, Cher, laissez le bon temps rouler, Hazel. I guarantee.
Oh man! So what's the second question, and we'll move on to the state of play conversation.
So the final question would be: do you think that, in your honest opinion, from what you've played, this will be Compulsion's best game?
Dude, there's not even a question. Because go back to Contrast in 2013. I actually bought it on the PlayStation 4 when it launched. That was one of the first games I bought on the PS4. Contrast was very unique in its storytelling because it used shadows and 2D and 3D for your platforming and the way that they told the story. It took place in the 1920s, right? Move Forward, that was 2014. or 2013, move forward to, of course, the official release, not the crowdfunded release of We Happy Few, the actual release of the game, which was 2018, right? We Happy Few was a first person take on like the 60s, right? That they had a 60s vibe to it with the music and the way that they visually told it. This is absolutely, by far, without even sounding like a fanboy or someone that was invited to the, hey, Boom is just kissing ass because he was invited. No, this is their best work. And I think where that really does come into play, Umbra, is the fact that they were now funded by Microsoft. What you're seeing in front of you isn't the lack of talent. They have this talent. It's just money on the back end of being able to spend the extra time in development and what you see in front of you. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. I'm just looking at it, it being in a stellar Unreal Engine 5. I think clearly it's like the best looking game they clearly put out, and it seems to be a lot of love and labor put into this, honestly. So I think just kind of looking at it at a glance, and I know you can't really do that for everything, but to me this seems like it'll be a nice, fun little kind of, I want to say short. That's not the word I would use since it's roughly about 12 hours, but it's not long either. But it seems to be kind of like it'll land, if I had to guess, around the 80, 81, 83 maybe area, which is really good, by the way, because people get this weird thought like 70s and stuff is bad when 70s is good and 80s is great. So I'm thinking it's going to be a great scoring game. Probably most likely Compulsion's best scoring game. I've asked others this, by the way, who are playing it, so that's why I wanted to ask you what you would think, and they said they think this is Compulsion's best game.
I honestly believe it is. Like I said, just go look at their past works. They have 2 games prior to this, and both games for their time of release were unique. And for me, contrast hit. I did not really get attached to We Happy Few. I thought it was going to be more like a BioShock experience. And remember, folks, I was in on the ground floor with that game. I jumped in through, and I backed them on the crowdfunding aspect of it. Like I joined the Kickstarter. But it didn't hit for me. This game, from the minute you pick up the controller, it's familiar with the way that you control game, like modern games. But I think this is going to score very well. Is it going to be like a 90? I don't know. I think that, again, I want to play through the game. Again, according to the developers during our sit down when we were allowed to ask questions, they said roughly around 14 hours is what it's going to take you to go from start to finish. In fact, you know what? Let me just put. Yeah, hold on a second. Let me. Yeah, take a listen.
Nope, ain't no way.
Oh, Weaver, like you must have seen stranger things than me.
I
was
so
sorry
like
to hear about your misfortunation. You find your mama yet?
How do you know about my mama?
Well, before I tell you what I know, would you mind? This gentleman here scooped me up, but he ain't been equally good about letting go. Would you kindly do your Weaver thing and help me down?
What Weeby thing?
Oh, don't tease now. Sound carries underwater. It ain't every day I hear about a new Weaver such as yourself.
Ooh, I'm about to make
and lo and behold, with this stuff and all.
I just found this thing. Look, my house got swept away in the storm with my mama in it, and I'm just trying to find my mama before.
Oh, you really don't know anything. How disappointing.
So there you go.
Wow. Bravo. And some people laugh because they think like that's not they think it's a caricature. No, that's how they really
that's
sound
how they
down
speak.
there.
Yes.
He sounds so super authentic. By the way, I just love the art style. Look how cool.
Gorgeous. It's stunning. It's
like real unique, right? I love her hair, by the way. It looks really dope. I love how they did her face. It looks really, really cool. It's just a really cool art style. I gotta say, I love the voice.
I'm glad we
love the
happened to
voice
come to that
acting.
conversation just as the catfish was talking.
Yeah.
So again, we're going to get to the state of play, which it's 40 minutes, folks. We're gonna talk a couple of minutes and get into it. But so what you didn't see is there is a voodoo doll that is a familiar that you roll with. His name is Crouton. You've seen him in my thumbnail. He's the one that looks like he's dancing. His name is Crouton. She can weave where there's certain aspects or certain parts of the level that he can only get into, and she uses her magic to make the voodoo doll come to life. And he can go into like smaller spaces and get things and open up doors or find hidden things. His name is Crouton. They had the prop. You saw me put pictures of it. He's adorable. I think he's going to be a character that people are going to really, really like. And there's also, again, what you don't see here are the animals of the swamp are living beings. Like they have a pair of these jackrabbits that help Hazel through the story. Again, you're not seeing it here, but I can't wait to get people to get their hands on this. I'm very excited.
No, I'm excited too. That part right there got me. I like that. It seems like the game is full of character. You know what I mean? I like
it really
like
is. Again, you can't really tell, and apologies, folks, that again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach out to my connection to Compulsion. I want to see if I'm allowed to put the 60 minutes of gameplay on YouTube. I don't know. I don't want to get in trouble for doing that. So I'm actually waiting to find out. I believe I can. What I'm going to do if I get the thumbs up from PR is I'm going to put my extended gameplay on my channel with no commentary, literally just the audio playing and you just watching. I'm going to see if I can do that. If I can do it, I'm going to put it up by week's end for sure.
So Thriller had said that he'd fry that sucker up and make a big po' boy sandwich out of him.
Well, no, you need him because he's going to help you find her mother. But
why you seasoning me up like that right there? Hey, that's not very nice of you.
Oh man, well, listen.
Shout out to Sin, by the way. Let's see, people test my pop culture knowledge. He said, "Could you teach me some dance moves?" And it's would you teach me some dance moves? By the way, Sin. That's from Last Dragon, by the way.
Yes, absolutely. But a great film, by the way. Great film.
Classic.
Listen, real quick before we move on to the state of play information. Again, this is not going to be. Maybe we'll spend 15 minutes on it. We'll get everyone out of here. Will the Insider Broke Boy Lewis drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says, working on a 3-mile walk while listening during now. Brother, well, that's very kind of you. Hopefully we pass the time for your 3-mile walk. Mrs. Boom and I got to get back at it. We used to do 5.5 miles on Saturdays twice. One on Saturday, one on Sunday. Obviously, the winter kind of threw us for a loop because it's cold here. So we're going to start back up in the spring. But listen, Jamie, let's talk state of play. Again, I'm going to read the presser, folks. And again, I'm not expecting much here, but at least there is a Sony show. You can't complain about that. If you're waiting for Sony to do a show, well, here it is. It's been confirmed for tomorrow. It is going to be happening at 2 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Eastern. That's usually standard fare. According to Tim Turry, who is the content communications manager at Sony Interactive Entertainment, well, Tim had to say this. State of Play is back tomorrow, February 12th. Tune in live for news and updates on great games coming to PlayStation 5. The show celebrates a creative and unique selection of exciting games from studios around the world. The 40 minutes plus show, and of course, begins at 2 p.m. For Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. He goes on to say that if you are regarding co-streaming, because I know a lot of people co-stream, like BitCloud, who does it regularly, please note that the broadcast may include copyrighted content, so like licensed music. So obviously, you'll get you won't get a strike for it, but you'll probably get some sort of a sharing. Some some sort of a content sharing thing. It happens sometimes. It happened to me like 2 or 3 times in the last few weeks for licensed music. But Jamie, this is a show that is not expected to warrant any first party news. They would have said it. It's what it sounds like is we might get some games from their China project, which I think is an important aspect to what is Sony doing in regards to not having their own exclusives ready. You know, Ghost of Yotai is set for the end of the year. I believe that's on track. I don't think there's going to be any delays there. Intergalactic, take your pick. Is that next year? I don't know. Is that the year after? It's it's the Last of Us studio. They just take a lot. They take a long time with their games, but that's because they put a lot of work into it. And their games usually come out, at least for the console, in pristine condition. What are you expecting from this show tomorrow? 40 minutes, which is pretty lengthy, but it doesn't sound like first party is the focus. It does sound like they are going to maybe show off some marketed deals and potentially some third-party games that will make their way to other consoles, including PC.
Before I get into what I think will be there, I think it's crazy to think that Sony's cancelled so many games. They could actually fill a full state of play with their own cancelled games.
Yeah, you're right. You're not wrong.
Just wanted to put it out there. No, I honestly think that it's actually going to be a good show for third-party content because, as I've been saying, a lot of publishers are looking at the first half of this year. The first half of this year is going to be stacked, and a lot of publishers are not wanting to release in the second half because we don't know when GTA is releasing. And there's some big games coming out this year which don't have release windows, which I know for a fact are going to come out soon. One of which is Ken Levine's new game, Judas. That's been on a state of play before. That was actually meant to come out. Well, it's listed to come out by the end of March 2025. So, considering we haven't had a trailer for 6 months, I 100% believe we're going to get the release date at the state of play. There's also Exodus, which is that sci-fi RPG directly aimed at Mass Effect fans. Thank you very much. I think we'll get a release date for that. They've been shown too much of the game to not show that game anytime soon. What else have I got here? I think we could actually see some Assassin's Creed stuff here because Ubisoft is planning to release multiple Assassin's Creed games this year. And the Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag remake is meant to come out in November. So I could imagine that they would just want to show this off, get people talking about Assassin's Creed. What else have we got here? You know what? I think we actually going to get a release date for Metal Gear Solid Delta because I don't know if anyone saw, but there was a trailer leak of the release date on.
Was there?
Yeah, on the PlayStation Network store. I think it's been pulled now, and that's coming out in August. So, again, I think that's 1,000,000% going to get its release date trailer official tomorrow. And if people haven't seen it yet, oh my god, Metal Gear fans are eating this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, for third-party content, I think it's just going to be stuff like that. Mainly big third-party releases. Now, will they have any exclusive content there? I think something they should have there, because a lot of fans have been waiting, even though it's not for me, VR content. They really need VR content because they sent out that PlayStation VR 2 to die, and people have these £550 headsets with no games to play. I'd be annoyed if I bought one of those headsets. So, I think they have to give VR fans something because it's been too long now. I don't think you're going to see Intergalactic there. That game's going to be in the oven for a while. Wolverine, I mean, considering the big leak a year ago, I don't see that happening. I just think it's mainly going to be, third-party stuff. I have seen some stuff on Twitter about how people think Hellblade 2 is going to be there.
I literally have it pulled in front of me, so we'll get Umbra's opinion. So Jez Corden of Windows Central, one half of the Xbox 2 podcast, a good friend of this program for sure, says Hellblade 2 time maybe. Nate the Hate says soon. ... Very soon. Now, to be clear, he does have a rebuttal where he says, for clarity, I don't know if the game is going to be at the state of play. This isn't a tease implying that it will be. But I have also heard that an Xbox or a pair of Xbox games could, in fact, show up at this state of play. Could that be Forza Horizon 5? That would be pretty wild if Sony actually put an Xbox game like that in their state of play. That would be bonkers. If Hellblade 2 shows up there, wow. I mean, that means that maybe even gets a release date. That would be quite shocking, to be honest with you, to get actual, and that's how you know the Trojan horse has worked. If you get Xbox games in a state of play, wow. What's next is what I have to ask, but please continue.
Yeah, well, when it comes to Xbox games, and I hope this one's here because I think that more eyes on this genre is needed, and that is Age of Mythology Retold and Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. The RTS games on console are next to non-existent. I think on Xbox Series consoles we have maybe 8 or 9, and I think on PlayStation there's 0. I think getting an RTS out there on their stream would be a huge thing because PlayStation gamers, I've never seen anyone ever port big an RTS game, even though they can be amazing games. I think it would be a smart idea to get a lot of eyes on Age of Mythology Retold. It's a fantastic RTS, even on, especially on controller. So I hope that's there. And I'm saying that as an Xbox fan because I want more RTS games on console. And that's basically the only way we see this happen if these games prove that they can sell on multiple platforms. Hellblade, I can kind of see that being there. Hellblade, Age of Empires, Age of Mythology, all games I've been told are terrible, by the way. Every single time. But yeah, I don't think we'll see Forza there. These companies pay a lot of money for coverage of these showcases, and I think that when it comes to Forza is it's a racing game, but it's one of Microsoft's biggest games, and I think that they don't have to put that on a Sony thing. Forza Horizon is a big enough game; they don't need to. Much like how, not on the same scale, but much like how GTA doesn't need to show up at any showcase. It's popular enough. But I think that's pretty much it when it comes to Xbox stuff. But yeah, big third-party games that's coming out this year, and also there's a new Metro game in development. We're meant to see that fairly soon, so we might see that. I think it's going to be third-party heavy, and if you're an Xbox fan or Nintendo gamer or PC gamer, I think this is definitely going to be one to watch because it's going to be stacked.
Yep, I agree. Well, we're going to see whether or not. I mean, again, we're just a lot of hypotheticals here. It would be pretty wild to get an Xbox game in a state of play. That would be bonkers. Umbra, what are you expecting from this thing? Again, 40 minutes, and I think that's pretty lengthy. That's usually the standard fare for Sony state of plays.
Yeah.
I think if first party was going to get there, they would have said, "Hey, look, towards first party, whatever." I mean, it could be a surprise, sure. I don't know if they have any. I don't think they have anything ready to go. What are you expecting?
I mean, they possibly could show something of Ghost of Yote, right?
Maybe.
That's supposed to release when March,
holiday.
May?
I think in holiday of 25.
Was the holiday of this year? Oh wow. I feel if that's a holiday, that's going to be moved if it's anywhere near where GTA would be. For me, I'm thinking, especially with such a late announcement, for this being literally tomorrow, I'm going to guess it's going to be largely third party focused. Excuse me. So if I had to guess, the games we've already kind of heard about, Jamie, I think, listed a few. For me, I think it would be Phantom Blade. Shout out to Kia.
That makes sense. That game looks phenomenally good. That's a day one for me.
Looks pretty good. Yeah. He said he thinks according to Kia Santi, he said he felt that it could be as good, if not better, than Black Myth Wukong. Ooh. I don't know. We'll see. From what I've seen, it looks entertaining. I thought it was going to be, I wrote that game off as being some type of, fake little like Ponzi scheme or something at first it seemed like, but it seems like it's a real legit, genuine article. So yeah, Phantom Blade Zero, I imagine will be there. Lost Soul Aside, and that's been coming for a long time. Pause. But I also would say that they also made a tweet saying yes, like recently, where they, I think today actually, where they're saying the answer is yes. So
Oh,
that to me
okay.
seems to hint that they would be showing something soon, if not tomorrow. Right? Makes sense. A long time coming before they finally showed it. Death Stranding 2 is an automatic. We already saw new info about Kojima having some type of special panel. So that's going to be the big show piece, I would imagine, of the show, which was probably why the length of time might be that long for that reason, by the way. And then I would dip off into the Xbox side of things. Indiana Jones is a given because that's
Wow,
already
could you imagine? Holy
that's
crap! I mean,
that's
spring's around
already
the
coming.
corner. Yeah,
We
that'd be
already know
something.
that's coming, so it's kind of like they can kind of reiterate, hey, Indiana Jones coming, right? So Indiana Jones makes sense. Age of Mythology Retold and Age of Empires 2, we already know about those. It seems safe to say that they might show that there too, to say, hey, these are coming too. And I disagree on the thought that Forza might not be there. They don't have to do it, but again, I feel like you get such a major third party title off your competitor, and if they're willing to allow it, which Microsoft seems all too willing, I would imagine that shows up there too. And one final one, as you mentioned, Hellblade 2. And I didn't even see Jazz's and Nate the Hate's tweet before you had mentioned it. But yeah, I would imagine Hellblade 2 as well. So those will be my guesses. And I think that'll be a pretty rounded, nice state of play if that's the case.
It's going to be a conversation to be had if their state of play is filled with Xbox games. Like, again, they're on the way there. Forza confirmed, Indiana Jones confirmed, Hellblade not so much confirmed, but we've heard that is one of them for sure at some point or another. Is that this year? I don't know. So I think it could be this year. Starfield, I think, is end of year for sure. For the second half, but that would be definitely pretty wild. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us. But before we get on out of here, let me just catch up on these super chats here. We have a couple of them. We have another gifted membership from our brother all the way from Hawaii. Aloha to you, kind sir. Nino Vestic has done it again, folks. He has gifted one Double Barrel Gaming membership. And please, if you did get that gifted membership, thank this man because he does it on a daily basis. And we cannot thank you enough for the generosity. Will the Insider Broke Boy Lewis drops an additional $5 super chat. And he says, my concern for South of Midnight is that the reviewers are going to go into this game thinking about a PlayStation first party game like The Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima. I'm going to tell you this right now. Anyone that goes into a review thinking of another game is stupid. And that goes for all reviewers. I don't care how old you are or what brand you like better. I've said it. You're stupid. You go into a game and you play the game, and you are tasked to reviewing the game. Now, during your playtime, if you want to equate some of your experiences to, I felt that this game kind of gave me vibes of this, that's fine. You equate that into your write-up or your video review. You don't go into a game, oh, look, South to Midnight, she looks like something out of God of War. So I'm going to go thinking it's a God of War game. Oh, it's not a God of War game. I'm disappointed. If that's how you review, you probably shouldn't be doing reviews. I think you're stupid. And that's it. I take reviewing games serious, and you got to put the work in, whether that be for beating going through a game, and some people enjoy doing that. For instance, my review is going to be based on 50 plus hours of play. I haven't beaten Avowed. I'm not even close to beating it. There are still 3 areas that I have to get to, and I'm almost at the 50-hour mark now. By the time I beat that game, probably around 100 hours, because I check for everything. And the one thing I can't say any more about the game. Tune in on Thursday morning, 9 a.m. I'm going to put that out on the socials starting tomorrow. I'm going to be doing an Ask Me Anything about the game, give you all the updates regarding its performance, the 3 different modes which have been confirmed by the by the team. I'll have everything. I've already written a bunch of questions. I'm going to ask you, fine folks, to ask questions. I'm going to put that out on the socials and have questions for me in the chat. And I'll be able to have not only gameplay, but I'll be able to answer all your questions. And by the end of that, I'll give you my review of the game. And again, that review is not going to be that I beat it. It's going to be based on my 50+ hours, which as soon as I'm done here, I'm walking over there to get down. And I can't wait because I'm in a new area and I'm finding like high level shit. I can't wait to play some more. But
Nice.
that's going to do it for us here. Umbra, I got something to tell you about the game specifically behind the scenes. I can't say it now, but we'll talk.
Yes, sir.
Let's get to the outros. Jamie Moran, let's start with you. You have a show happening later today, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, known as All Things Xbox. It's a great podcast that doesn't use console war rhetoric as its driving point. You and Logan Meyer do a great job each and every week talking about Xbox, celebrating Xbox. Some of the times talking about Mass Effect. Sell the brand, brother. Where can people subscribe to your YouTube channel? But more importantly, check out the live stream this evening.
Thanks, Boom. It's always a pleasure. So yeah, my channel is The Elusive Gamer. I exclusively cover Xbox, well, with a bunch of Mass Effect thrown in there. I have All Things Xbox podcast on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern with Logan Mayer, and we don't do fanboy stuff. It's just chill talk. It's always fun and chat over there. And I will say this, it's funny how back in the early days when I started the podcast, the chat was filled with like weird bots and fanboys arguing. And now I think people finally got over it. And it's just people having a good time, which I really love. And I think, we need more of that in gaming. But yeah, that's at 6 p.m. Eastern on my YouTube channel. We're going to be talking about Final Fantasy, a bunch of games coming to Xbox, the state of play, which we're talking about before. It's going to be a good time. And yeah, my Twitter is JMimranUK, where it's exclusively gaming and jokes. I'm also on Threads, and Blue Sky is JMimran. I try and post there regularly, but doing more than one social media at a time, it breaks my brain.
Nice. So shout out to Thanaros in the chat. He says Boom's achievements are going to go off for hours once Avowed is dropped. Ain't no way he has 0 achievement score for the month. And that's because all I've played is South of Midnight and Avowed. I have not touched Call of Duty. I missed the Terminator skins. I'm so angry at myself. I missed the double XP event. I missed the Terminator event. I have just not been back to it because, again, I put it this way. Being able to review these games are both a pleasure and a curse because you are given these games with trust that you're going to do the right thing by the developers, meaning that I am representing the work of Compulsion Games and Obsidian. And with that, as grand as that sounds, there is a ridiculous amount of pressure. I work out 4 days a week. I take care of the house while Mrs. Boom is working. I have to find the time to make sure that she is taken care of, right? We got to spend time and then a lot of the times I'm playing in the wee hours of the night, which old men don't usually do. And I don't feel pressure. I feel joy and contentment because I got this ability. But make no mistake, I take this shit super serious because these are 2 studios that trusted me with their games. And I have to deliver the reviews and I have to deliver the previews. So it's a lot of pressure. Again, it's both a curse and a pleasure to do it, but that's because I take this stuff so ultra serious. But thank you, Thanaros. Appreciate that. That was great. Infinite Umbra, let's sell the brand of the fix. Thursday afternoons or Thursday evenings, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Chi-Town time, where you and Daniel McGee break it down. There's a lot to get into. Some of the Super Bowl trailers. I'm not sure if you're going to get into what they did with with Superman, with
Thunderbolts. You saw the Thunderbolts?
The Thunderbolts one was dope. Got me very excited because Sentry is a powerful Superman-esque character, and the Void is psychotic.
It makes you wonder, though, how the heck is this ragtag team going to take on the Void?
I don't know, and that's what's interesting about it, because when he's a good guy, Sentry's awesome.
Yeah, and
If you don't know who
pretty
Sentry
much
is,
almost impossible to stop too.
pretty much, yeah. He actually played a huge part in World War Hulk. I'm
did.
nerding out, folks.
Yes, he
I'm a
did.
big comic book nerd, but I'm also, again, I'm really into the trades. I just don't have a podcast to talk about it, which is shameful because I really wish I had the time for it. But let's talk about it, brother. Where can not only people check out and subscribe to your YouTube channel, more importantly, follow you on social media?
Yes. Great show. Great being here with you guys, of course. Thank you guys in the chat for holding us down. That's right, Nino. He says, I have my tickets for Captain America. I'm ready for that as well. That is the 14th. That's this
I'm
week.
going on Saturday with my nephew and his dad. I can't wait.
Yes. If I don't go Friday, I'll definitely try to go Saturday. So I'm with you there. Excited for that. It's gonna be a good year for comic movies because we got that. You got Fantastic Four,
which looks really
It
good.
does look really good. You got Superman, which looks like it's going to be pretty good, and is in good hands with James Gunn and team. I mean, it's another one too. Well, Thunderbolts I mentioned as well. So yeah, we got some good stuff coming this year for movies, for comic book movies. I think it's a rebound for the MCU, which is a good thing. Which is a good thing. But yeah, as far as where you guys can find me, Infinite Umber or Umber Infinite on Twitter, of course, and other places, you'll find me either way if you look it up, as well as on the Fix, as Boom mentioned, at 8 o'clock Eastern on Thursdays with myself and Daniel J. McG. We will likely talk on the Super Bowl, which, by the way, I don't know if I got anybody's thoughts. Boom, what was your thought on the score? Because they got destroyed.
I thought that the Eagles, I thought it was going to be a very close game, and they just had a better game plan. And I don't know if it's Super Bowl fatigue, which is, you've heard people say, you're like, what is that? You got to remember, getting to the Super Bowl, some people like Dan Marino, right? Like, how many times did he get there? Look at the Bills during the 90s. They got there 4 freaking times and lost all 4. Like, holy shit. How does that even happen? So I love Mahomes. I think that kid is such great head on his shoulders. I just honestly think it's a bit of fatigue. They've been there a lot.
Yeah. You know, it's funny about Dan Marino, though, as great as he is, he's been in the playoffs, I think, 10 or 11 times, but he's only made it to the Super Bowl once.
Yep. So,
and they never won, from what I understand.
Yep.
Yeah, but also, too, if I'm not mistaken, didn't his team stop my Bears from getting a perfect record that year?
They might have. You're talking about when Chicago
back in the 80s, the 85, what 80? Excuse me,
85 Bears, man. Those guys
I believe
ridiculous.
they stopped. I'm pretty sure it was his team that stopped us. So boo, Dan Marino. No, but yeah, man. Crazy Super Bowl. I thought it would have been more competitive. It was. Did you all see the lady sticking a dang voodoo doll in the stands?
I did not.
It's to some nutcase on Twitter. They showed it was ladies sticking a voodoo doll, sticking a Kansas City Chiefs uniformed voodoo doll.
Wow.
I'm like, come on now, lady. And she just sticking it. She's like, yeah. It's weird. Maybe it worked.
Who the heck knows?
I don't know. But
I mean, they were in New Orleans, so I mean,
hey, I guarantee. Yeah, she probably, it could have been. That's one of the homes. But yeah, other than that, it was really good Super Bowl. As far as I only tuned in for the halftime show, and I was not let down. I love what Kendrick did. Very symbolic.
Yes.
Beautiful performance. Seeing him, Samuel Jackson, his Uncle Sam, fittingly, really well done. I can go on for days about that, so we'll talk about that too. And of course, we'll have seen the state of play, so we'll cover that as well this Thursday too. So you guys come by and check us out. Jamie, you got a show later today, of course. I know you mentioned it, and I'm often KO'd by the time you post it, so we can share it out. But yeah, you all go and support our brother here.
Yes. Well, listen, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for checking out. I do have additional South of Midnight coverage happening. I'm probably going to stay up to the wee hours of the night getting those done. Like I said, I have 2 different presentations where it is the art director of Compulsion actually breaking down some really, really interesting points on how they actually got there. And of course, there is the Clyde Henry Studios, which is the very small, award-winning, by the way, movie house out of Canada that did the opening cinematic. I do have their presentation recorded. I have been given the thumbs up by PR where I can put those out there. They're going to be separate videos. They are going to have additional South of Midnight content playing in the background. And again, I'm just waiting for the thumbs up from PR from both Compulsion and Xbox. If I can, in fact, put my gameplay out there on YouTube with its sound, again, no voiceover from me, literally just the game, I will let you guys and gals know. I hope I can do it. Again, it's only the third act of the game. There are multiple acts, so we'll see what happens there. But thank you so much for all of the super chats that popped in today. Mrs. Boom and I do greatly appreciate all of the financial support that comes behind the channel memberships and the super chats. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully, one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast.